Obesity in the United States is a major health concern resulting in numerous diseases. It specifically leads to increased risk of certain types of cancer, coronary artery disease, type 2 diabetes, as well as significant increases in early mortality. The increase in obesity also contributes to increased economic costs due to medical expenses. While many industrialized countries have experienced large increases, obesity rates in the United States are highest in the world.
Obesity costs this country about $150 billion a year, or almost 10% of the national medical budget. Approximately 1 in 3 adults and 1 in 6 children are obese. Obesity is epidemic in the United States and a major cause of death, attributable to heart disease, cancer, and diabetes.
The consumption of sugar-sweetened beverages has been directly linked to increased likelihood of obesity and metabolic syndrome in adolescents and adults. In the United States, the percentage of calories coming from calorically dense beverages had almost doubled from 1965 to 2002, reaching up to 21% in 2002.
Well, how about some soda, guys?
Yes, please. Thanks, friend.
How about some for your best friend?
Thanks, best friend.
However, manufacturers of popular soda drinks had a solution for these concerns. A diet soda which contained the same amount of calories as water with a similar taste to your favorite soda.
You know what's new? Diet Coke!
And you're gonna drink it just for the taste of it.
Introducing Diet Coke. You're gonna drink it just for the taste of it. Living good with Diet Coke. This is the one from Coca-Cola. Crinkle the taste with just 1 calorie. Just for the taste of it.
Just for the taste of it.
Diet Coke.
Diet sodas were first introduced in the 1950s for people with diabetes, but they were later marketed to people trying to control their weight and reduce their sugar intake. These diet sodas contain artificial sweeteners as a substitute for sugar in these drinks. Artificial sweeteners are many times sweeter than table sugar, therefore a much smaller amount is needed to create the same level of sweetness. In 2005, shares of Tate & Lyle, one of the largest manufacturers of sweeteners, had nearly doubled in price, and sugar had nothing to do with it. The company came up with something that led to dramatic increase in sales: sucralose, also known as Splenda. This sweetener is sold in yellow boxes and sachets with blue script. Made from sugar so it tastes like sugar, the slogan claims. But like all other sugar substitutes, sucralose was manufactured in a laboratory. The country's entire supply is produced in one well-guarded and famously secretive facility in Alabama, where truckloads of common table sugar are shipped in weekly to be modified via a complex chemical process involving chlorine and phosphine gas. The result is so intensely sweet that Tate & Lyle has to cut it with 600 parts filler to approximate a natural sweetness. Last year alone, the food industry introduced 2,000 reduced sugar and sugar-free foods, many of them made with sucralose. The relative potency of sugar compared with artificial sweeteners is also interesting to consider. Some of the most commonly used sweeteners are cyclamate, which is 45 times sweeter than sugar, aspartame, which is 180 times sweeter than sugar, saccharin, which is 300 times sweeter than sugar, sucralose, also called Splenda, which is 600 times sweeter than sugar, and neotame, also called NutraSweet, which is 13,000 times sweeter than sugar. Despite being free of sugar and calories, the health effects of diet drinks and artificial sweeteners are controversial. Many have linked diet sodas to obesity, increased risk of diabetes, heart disease, and even cancers. So, should you really be drinking diet soda to reduce your weight? First, let's look into the effects of diet soda on obesity. The goal of diet soda consumption is to lower total caloric intake. Lowering daily calories will lead to less fat storage around the body. The more calories an individual consumes, the more fat they begin to store. So, by lowering caloric intake with diet sodas, you begin to burn fat from these storage sites. Diet soda does effectively achieve this goal. Most diet sodas contain 0 calories. Here is the nutrition facts label of one of the most popular diet sodas, Coke Zero. To compare, a regular can of Coke contains 140 calories and 39 grams of sugar. However, some observational studies have still linked the consumption of diet sodas to increased risk of obesity. This meta-analysis consists of a total of 12 studies, 8 cross-sectional, 4 prospective cohort studies. There were about 56,000 participants, with their ages ranging from 6 to 98 years old. It was concluded that both regular and diet soda intake increased the risk of metabolic syndrome. This seems to contradict my previous mentioned ideas about caloric intake, but this could be because soft drink consumption in general is linked to unhealthy dietary habits. An example of this would be someone who orders a Diet Coke with their McDonald's Big Mac and fries. Although the diet soda is helping to lower total calories of the meal, it's minimally effective to compensate for the other dietary choices that were made. Experimental studies do not show the same sentiment as the observational studies. The effectiveness on weight loss by replacing regular soda with diet sodas was analyzed in this study. The study concluded that replacement of caloric beverages with non-caloric beverages as a weight loss strategy resulted in average weight losses of 2 to 2.5%. It's important to consider bias when reading through the results of these and other studies on the topic of weight loss. Studies have been funded by the artificial sweetener industry, which have had very favorable outcomes when compared to non-industry studies. Therefore, more high-quality research is needed to truly determine the effects of diet soda on weight. In my own life, I have used diet sodas to help aid in weight loss. In my own experiences, I have found that when used in combination with a healthy whole food-based diet, diet soda consumption in moderation can help with diet adherence. Sometimes you crave something sweet, and diet sodas can halt that craving at the cost of 0 calories. In my opinion, a healthy diet and regular exercise will always have a much more significant impact on your physique compared to simply drinking diet soda instead of regular soda. How about the increased risk of diabetes and heart disease? It is very clear that sugary drinks and regular soda consumption do increase the risk of both of these diseases. Increased consumption of sugar in general contributes to insulin resistance and causes type 2 diabetes, but does the same apply for diet drinks? In this study, the risk of developing diabetes and the potential benefit of replacing sugar-sweetened drinks with artificially sweetened drinks or water was analyzed. It was concluded that artificially sweetened beverages were associated with a 21% increase in the risk of developing diabetes. However, this was approximately half the magnitude of sugar-sweetened beverages, which have been associated with a 43% increased risk. It's important to consider that this and many other studies on this topic are observational studies. Therefore, we cannot rule out other factors causing increased risk of diabetes and heart disease in these populations. In my opinion, the individuals who are consuming the artificial sweetened beverages are also more likely to consume unhealthy diets in general. This study showed increased risk of diabetes with sugar-sweetened beverages, but the risk was still lower than sugar-sweetened beverages. Therefore, there is evidence that just replacing sugar-sweetened beverages can be beneficial for health. Many questions have also risen up about the compounds contained in these diet sodas. What are these chemicals? Are they even safe to consume long-term? Do we know about the side effects? And can they cause cancer? The most commonly used artificial sweeteners in these sodas are typically aspartame, saccharin, sucralose, and cyclamate, all of which sound like some weird kind of robotic feel, but I assure you, you're not going to gain any kinds of superpowers from these. The fact that these compounds are synthesized artificially does concern many people because these substances seem to be unnatural. Questions about artificial sweeteners and cancer arose when early studies showed that cyclamate in combination with saccharin caused bladder cancer in laboratory animals. However, results from subsequent carcinogenicity studies which examine whether a substance can cause cancer have not provided clear evidence of an association with cancer in humans. A 2005 study raised the possibility that very high doses of aspartame might cause lymphoma and leukemia in rats. But after reviewing this study, the FDA identified many shortcomings in it and did not alter its previous conclusion that aspartame is safe. In 2005, the National Toxicology Program reported that aspartame exposure did not cause tumors. In 2006, the National Cancer Institute examined human data from the NIH AARP diet and health study over 500,000 retirees. Increasing consumption of aspartame-contained beverages was not associated with development of lymphoma and leukemia or brain cancer. And a 2013 review of epidemiologic evidence also found no consistent association between the use of aspartame and cancer risk. So, should you be drinking diet soda? After looking at the evidence, I believe that diet soda is not harmful when moderately consumed. While they are not bad for you, diet sodas are not good for you. They do not provide any significant value to your diet in the form of nutrition. They are just a means to cut down on daily sugar consumption. Diet drinks can be used in moderation and can be a beneficial replacement for regular soda. But a better alternative would be replacing soda with water or green tea. A diet based on fast food and processed food will always be detrimental to your health no matter what beverage you consume. So correcting these habits would be most beneficial. And there is no harm in having a diet soda here and there as part of a healthy whole foods based diet.